Hey, I want to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special Reunion 2020 episode. What is that? That's when I bring on a guest that I had on in the past, and I liked him so much I had to bring him on back. So today's guest is Tony Penn, and he is the founder of Penn Ultimate Consulting and the co-founder over at ResultsDriven Leadership. Tony, welcome back to the show.
Adam, thanks so much for having me back. I missed you, man. We had a good time last time.
Hey, likewise, I missed your voice, and I'm excited to get into what you're doing over at Results-Driven Leadership. I don't think we covered that last time, but before we do that, I want to get we had a lot of new listeners. We had a great year on the podcast, and I don't want to assume that everybody caught the first episode. So let's just start with an overview of what you're doing over at Penn Ultimate Consulting.
Well, Penn Ultimate Consulting is kind of an umbrella company over the services that I provide. So, and it includes Penn Restaurant Group. I've been in the restaurant and hospitality industry for pretty much most of my career. Numerous titles and responsibilities, running companies, owning restaurants, etc. And that kind of morphed into, wanting to stop traveling all over the place for most of my life and start helping others in their businesses. And that's kind of how I got into the consulting side of it. So I do a lot of restaurant consulting, and then that kind of morphed into realizing that a lot of the issues everybody has are universal, especially with regard to finding good people and retaining good people and being able to manage their businesses effectively. So I kind of started working with a couple other guys and started realizing that companies don't really have any structure to train management, to train executives with soft skills and leadership. So that's kind of how it's morphed into the overall business consulting and, of course, to results-driven leadership.
Man, I think that's a great transition. Let's just jump right into results-driven leadership and the kind of things you're helping your clients with. So first, tell us a little bit more about the company and what you're doing.
Well, it's a company that we formed, myself and two other gents that are super smart guys, and in very different fields than mine. One was in the automobile industry and retail industry. The other one was in engineering. So we all kind of got together and have a shared vision for, what it takes for businesses to be successful. We've all run very successful businesses, and we've all been in the trenches, which is kind of what differentiates us, I feel like, than other training, organizations, is we've actually had to do it. And we've gone through the battles of doing it wrong and figuring it out and having some success. So, we all got together and decided that we were going to target our efforts towards, organizations that have employees that are put into leadership positions without really having any opportunity to train, because most businesses don't have the infrastructure to train those skills. So we have a whole series of different training modules with some curriculum on how to get your employees to buy in, how to deal with difficult people, how to be strategic so you can actually get stuff done, how to run a meeting, just things that you kind of thrown into that world without, having the opportunity to learn prior to getting there. So that's an overview.
Let's I saw your proposed show topic, and I think it's a great one. So business versus business development. I mean, where do you want to begin with that?
Well, anybody, especially people that own their own business, are always in that predicament of how much time do I spend working on the business that I currently have, and then how much time do I spend on trying to find new business. And it's a significant challenge for most of us because there's so many hours in the day, and then you're going to have all kinds of other things thrown in, like your personal life and kids and family and friends and everything else. So learning where that balance is a skill, and it's one I'm working really hard at. And sometimes I succeed, and sometimes I don't. But I have to, learn how to measure the specific hours of the day and what I want to accomplish during those hours. And when during that time am I most effective to go out and talk to people and get new business versus running my, the existing business I have.
I think as entrepreneurs, we all struggle with that. That's just one of those things. You always need revenue in, you always need a full pipeline, you always need to, kind of think about obviously what you currently have, but also what you want to maintain that, right? Especially because there's always outside factors like the economy or, business things that can affect your business that you don't have control of over daily. But you're right, you do have control of your actions. What are some of the tips and some of the things that in your life you've found, for some of our listeners that are out there also struggling with this, that have been helpful in kind of helping you maintain that balance?
One of the things that I've learned is to make sure that I'm working within my correct pay grade, and I'm not doing and handling responsibilities that others can handle or that I can outsource or that may not take a priority within a given time. So, knowing where you're at and knowing what responsibilities you should be working on. The second part of that is, when are you most effective in picking that particular time of the day? For me, it's the mornings from like 7:30 to 10:30. So at that time is when I want to kind of toss aside emails and phone calls. Not necessarily phone calls, depends on who I'm talking to, but just a lot of the distractions that tend to happen, and I want to focus on who I need to contact with regard to developing new business. In the world I'm living in now, it's I'm starting a new business with results-driven leadership, so it requires even more focus and attention to be able to get the word out and have people understand what we're doing. So I got to make sure that in my business, the business that I currently have, that I'm not working on things that I can have others help me with. That delegation process is critical. And part of that, how I do that, is by associating an hourly rate to what I do, just so I can keep that in perspective. So if I give myself, which I do, $350 an hour, anytime I do anything, I associate how much money I spent by doing that particular task, and would it make more sense to have somebody else do it? What's the return on the investment of my time?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense, and that's been a theme for myself over the last couple of years also, and just in my own business, and that was, if you don't do that, by the way, what you end up being is the bottleneck. So as you scale, as you grow your team, as all these things happen, if you're the one, if people are waiting for you to do your part of it, but you're too busy to do your part, you're the bottleneck. So that's a challenge, I think, whenever any of our businesses are growing, we run in. And every day I try to take something else off my plate and figure out how one of my team can take that off my plate, assuming it makes sense, of course. And the funny part is the more I take off my plate in terms of other things that they can do, the more our business explodes. And it's like, well, there you go. Go figure. Like, how does that work? Everybody my whole life has told me that, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, yeah, thank you, Mr. Miyagi. You did know, and you told me.
One of the things that I do to kind of follow up on that is I create a to-don't list, because we all have to-do lists, obviously. So I create a to-don't list. So every time I'm about to do a task that I really shouldn't be doing, I write it down on that list. And I keep it in my desk as a reminder that this is something I shouldn't be doing. And so either if it's something that has to be done, making sure someone else is trained and empowered to do it, or do I need to seek out somebody? So as opposed to, doing it yourself. The other tip I would give you is if you're ever saying if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself, then you will never be able to scale your business. So And so
yeah,
it's
that's the last thing I say. I surround myself with a lot of smart people. So you're right. I agree with you completely. I'm like, no, I'm not the one for this. I just talk on the mic and I smile. There you go. I do that real interesting, and I try to do it as good as I can. And there you go. I'll get better over time. It's okay. That's funny, Tony. I love it. So, hey, Tony, if somebody is listening to this and they want more information on either of your ventures, on Penn Ultimate Consulting or on Results-Driven Leadership, what's the best route for them to follow up with you?
Well, I think the websites are pretty good. It's a lot of good information. PennUltimateConsulting.com. And for Results-Driven Leadership, it's rdltraining.com, RDL. But if you go on Penn Ultimate Consulting, you can find everything that I do anyways. I do a lot of restaurant consulting still because it's what I know and it helps pay bills. So that's, but you'll find all that when you go on Penn Ultimate Consulting.
Perfect. Well, hey, Tony, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this and had a lot of fun listening to it, because we sure did have a lot of fun making it for you. So if you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel and leave us some comments in the video section. Let us know what you think. What are you the bottleneck in your organization? How do you streamline things and make sure that you're getting the right dollar per hour that you deserve and that you should be getting as a leader? And Tony, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam, for having me. I appreciate it.